What's going on, Malakis? The NCC3 here, and in this video, I'm going to show you, Scoobs, how you can start to properly kit out your champions so that you can eventually start to get better artifacts, do more clan boss damage, grow your hair back, but overall, so that you can have more fun with your account because you're going to be progressing further into the campaign, dungeons, so on and so forth, right? And yes, I am not free to play by any stretch of the imagination. But please don't discourage this video because I'm not. This information applies just as much to my account as it does to a free-to-play, as it does to a new account, even to the big whales that spend thousands of dollars on the game. So please don't discourage the information. I also want to put it out there that I am not by any means going to be doing any of the substats or what sets are better for this champion or that stuff because I want to keep this as basic as possible and not trying to confuse people. But if you want those kinds of videos, let me know in the comments section. I'd be more than happy to do them. Let's go ahead and jump right into this. There are a total of 9 artifacts with your champion. You've got a ring, amulet, and banner that I will not be talking about in this video because that's spider and it's a little more difficult than it looks, okay? But I will be covering the 6 main artifacts that you can farm through the campaign, starting off with the boots. If you're a beginning player, you're on the normal campaign. That means you can farm between 1 and 3-star on all of your gear. Stars are very important. They're going to determine how much of a primary stat your item can actually have. Now, if you're on the hard, it's 2 to 4. Brutal is 3 to 5. Like I said, your stars really do affect your primary stats. So the more stars, the better. I also highly recommend not plus 16ing anything that's not like pretty much 5 stars or more. I mean, you can do 4 stars if you want to. It's just really expensive. You know, that's all I'm going to say about that, Scoobs. So as a primary stat, though, for your boots, your primary stat is going to be bold letterings at the very right of your artifact. I'm going to say speed is going to be the one primary stat you're going to want for your boots. Well, because your boots are the only artifact you can have that has a primary stat of, well, speed. They're very important, especially if you're going to be doing any clan bosses. Because in layman's terms, if you've got 200 speed versus 100 speed, well, you're going to take 2 more turns over that 1 turn. And a lot of people start thinking, well, if I just have way more attack, well, I don't need so much speed because I'm hitting significantly harder. The same thing gets said for crit and crit damage, yada, yada, yada. Well, some champions like Bad Alcazar has skills that have cooldowns. Well, this one's a 3-turn cooldown. If I'm taking 2 turns to your 1, well, that's good. That skill will come off a cooldown much faster than you can take your turns, if that makes any sense to you, okay? But again, boots, I highly recommend getting speed as a primary stat. Now, for your chest and your gloves, these are the 2 stats I highly recommend that you get. You're going to want defense percent and HP percent for either your gloves or your chest, because both artifacts can roll a primary stat of either or. For instance, Bad Alcazar has defense percent as the primary stat for his gloves. Well, Tyrell has HP percent as the primary stat for his gloves. And Tyrell's chest piece is defense percent, and Bad Alcazar's is, well, HP percent. As long as you've got both of those stats between your gloves and your chest piece, you are covered. And the reason why you need to get in the habit of having those as your primary stats is, well, because everything in the end game or later in the game, they just hit really stinking hard. Like they really, really do, Scoobs. When you're level 60 fighting against a level 280, they're going to go rah, 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 rah. If you don't have any defense or hit points, you're not going to make it. That's all I'm going to say, Scoobs. Moving on, though. Your shield, your helmet, and your weapon are static primary stats, meaning your shield will always have flat defense, your helmet will always have flat HP, and your weapon will always have flat attack. Side note, Plarium, please allow the weapon to be attack, HP, or defense because not all champions have damage-based attack like Bad Alcazar and other champions. Some of them actually have damage-based defense as a primary attack for their skills, right? And so, yeah, I kind of just wish that was a little different, but that's nor here nor there, okay? And remember, the more stars, the more you're going to get out of that stuff. So let's go ahead and talk about what gear you should be farming and where to get all that good stuff. And as an example, right, let's go ahead and go to Karok's Castle here, and let's look at your weapon. Now, when you select the weapon icon, it's going to bring up this table of contents here. Well, it shows it right here. 3 stats, or 3 stars, is a base of 12 attack. Level 16, though, is going to have 155. Well, if we compare that down to a 5-star item, the base is going to be 25 for the 5-star. And when you plus 16 it, it's going to be 225. That's a substantial difference. It really, truly is, Scoobs. So basically what the game's saying, more stars, more primary stats. That's pretty much about it. The kind of gear, though, I'm going to highly recommend you farm for all of your champions is going to be in Chapter 8. This is for the players who are mainly progressing through the chapters and pretty much through the dungeons and stuff like that, okay? I highly recommend getting a 4-piece set because, well, the set doesn't work unless you've got 4 pieces of it. Of the lifesteal, heals by 30% of the damage dealt. The Plarium, if you're listening, please be more generous on the healing champions because basically, in layman's terms, there's not a lot of really good healers out there for your team. There just really isn't. You know, like Bad Alcazar is the absolute best. Then you've got like what? Doom Priest, which is an epic, by the way. And then like who else do you have? Pretty much epics and legendaries for the most part. So lifesteal is going to help you out a great deal when going through the campaign and when going through the dungeons the first time around. I highly recommend lifesteal. And in fact, most players use lifesteal throughout their entire gameplay because healers, like I said, they just suck in this game. There's not a lot of really good ones. Like, not everybody's got a Bad Alcazar. That's all I'm going to say about that. So that's 4 pieces. That's 4 pieces. Well, you still have 2 pieces of gear left over. Here's what I highly recommend that you farm. If your champion is attack, well, go over to the Chapter 2, Sewers of Arnok, and get a 2 set of the offense set because 2 pieces is going to give you 15% attack. Use this on your attack-based champions. Likewise, if your champion's defense-based, go to Chapter 3. Go to the Catacombs. Get a 2-piece defense set because you're going to get 15% defense. That defense, by the way, right, let me get back to my champions, and the attack is going to directly multiply off of your base stats. So, for instance, if I had 10% more attack on Bad Alcazar, I would have 107.9% more attack. That's how that works. It doesn't take it from the top number, it takes it from the base, all right? That's why leveling your champions and ascending them is so important, okay? Because your primary stats, blah, 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 blah. Let's go back to the artifacts, though, okay? Something that's not a bad call, by the way, to farm for all of your champions is, well, the 2-piece speed set. Because, like I said, the more turns you take over your opponent generally means more survivability, more damage, and overall pretty much easier time. So if you're not a fan of farming the attack stuff or the defense stuff, and you want an all-around general purpose, especially for your clan boss stuff, I would highly recommend going with speed as the 2-set bonus, okay? And so let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the primary stats for all of your other type of artifacts. Because remember, your weapon will have attack always. It'll always have attack on it. It'll always be a flat amount. Your helmet will always have a flat amount of HP. Your shield will always have a flat amount of defense. But when you get to your gauntlets, notice the huge table of contents there. It sucks. It really does. Trying to get a 5-star, defense percent set of gloves because you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times 3 to get this one stat on this 5-star glove. You got about, what, a 24? 1 out of 24 chance? I mean, that's a lot. It really is. It sucks to get these. It really does. But as you're going through the campaign and all that stuff, you're going to realize that you're going to have a lot of downtime on your hands because, well, the campaign's really rough to go through the first time unless you're a wallet warrior. And, well, I wasn't to start off with. I farmed it the hard way. And so it took me a really long time to get this certain kind of defense percent on my gauntlets once I picked up this advice. And likewise, When you go through your chest, well, notice the stats are different, right? You've got accuracy, resist, hit points, and so far and so forth. These are your primary stats. And again, more stars means more base stats, which means more upgraded stats, okay? For your primary stats, not your substats, but your primary stats. And so, like I said, if you have defense chest, you want to go up here and you want to get HP percent gloves. But something you'll notice here is that your boots can only roll speed, flat HP, HP percent, attack percent, defense, and defense percent. No other gear in the entire game can roll a flat speed. So I highly recommend always having flat speed on your boots. Let's see here. That pretty much covers this guide right here. It really, really does. If you are interested in knowing more about the stuff, or if I didn't cover something more in depth, or I didn't cover it good enough for you, please let me know in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to talk about it with you, or to clarify, or whatever the case may be. But y'all know what I'm talking about though, right? Love, peace, and chicken grease. Be safe, but above all, yeah, stay classy.